The Porsche 911 is a sports car icon and has been for more than 50 years. This, the 911 GT3, is basically a road-legal racing car with a whole heap of horsepower, a big rear wing and performance honed for the track. But we're here in Switzerland, where motor racing is illegal. It's a country that has some incredible mountain roads, but also some pretty stonking speeding fines. So the big question is, can you have fun on the road in a 911 GT3 without risking your licence? In the past, we've been lucky enough to drive some absolutely corking sports cars, supercars and hypercars, machines that almost defy physics with the way that they handle and pile on speed. But more than a few of those have been rather frustrating affairs, because on the road, away from the track, it's almost impossible to fully explore the limits of what they can do. That's why low-powered, engaging cars like the Mazda MX-5 and Toyota GT86 have proved so popular. They're not about speed, they're about feeling. The GT3 has the speed thing covered. It's got 500 horsepower and will hit 60 miles an hour from standstill in just 3.8 seconds. However, we want the fun to last a little bit longer than that, although not going too much faster. Hopefully, this incredible stretch of alpine tarmac will help. We'll be starting here, high up in the Swiss Alps, just outside Andermatt, and we'll be snaking south on the wonderfully named Gotthard Pass. From there, we'll go west through a valley south of the Grossleckihorn mountain, which, according to Google Translate, is Swiss-German for Big Leaky Horn. Then we'll be heading north to take in the Furka-Strasse and Furka Pass. Is that right? Is that really the name? Double entendres aside, we'll be driving the GT3 on some of the best roads in the world, and also taking in some of the most spectacular scenery. The 911 GT3 is a high-tech bit of kit with all sorts of state-of-the-art features, including torque vectoring, active suspension, dynamic engine mounts and rear-wheel steering and all other kinds of newfangled jargon. But behind the wheel, it actually feels very mechanical, almost old-fashioned, in a good way. One of the main reasons for this is the noise. So many modern sports cars, especially at the high luxury end, are absolutely drowning in insulation in the name of comfort. Not so with the GT3. It's got a performance focus, so all that heavy noise insulation is gone. The result is that there's tons of noises throughout the cabin, and it really adds to the experience. You can hear stones banging off the underside, the clank of the transmission, and of course, noise from that 4-litre flat-six engine behind me. It's pretty awesome, and it gives a sense of mechanical connection between you, the car, and the road. The steering really helps with that as well. It's super fast and direct, you really know what's going on at the front, to a level that is pretty unusual these days. Now let's talk about the engine, which is almost identical to the 911 GT3 Cup racing car. It's entirely possible, and a lot of fun, to drive around revving to about 5,000 RPM, enjoying the short, tight gear shift, and marvelling at the incredible way that this thing can whip through corners. But the red line is at 9,000 RPM, and if you've got the stones to take it that far, it will pull and pull and pull. Honestly though, that's where the road restrictions come in, because if you try and hit 9,000 RPM in third gear, the Swiss police will be alert, like meerkats. Thankfully, the GT3 is multifaceted. I'm not even doing motorway speeds here, but it's so engaging to drive. It's the kind of car that you learn more about the more you drive it, understanding its little quirks and figuring out the best way to adapt your driving style to suit it. I'm not a big fan of the way the manual transmission automatically blips the throttle on downshifts. I'd rather do that myself. But it's so satisfying to just lean on the dampers through the corners, get on the throttle early out the corners and feel the way it just grips and goes. The 911 GT3 is a machine that avoids one of the main pitfalls of performance cars. I have no doubt that this thing will be an absolute riot on the track, where you can rinse every last usable ounce of performance out of it. But Porsche has also built a machine that's usable, fun and fascinating on the road. It feels like a project that needs to be explored to get the best out of it and yourself, and you don't need insane speeds and jail time to make the most of it. Having said that, if you do fancy a bit of time inside, this will get you there extremely quickly.